1. The telephone pole, death. In 2018, Hereditary delivered one of horror's most shocking moments. 13-year-old Charlie Graham, played by Millie Shapiro, attends a party and eats cake containing walnuts. She suffers severe allergic reaction causing anaphylactic shock. Her brother Peter, played by Alex Wolff, races her to the hospital in panic. Charlie sticks her head out the car window, gasping for air as her throat swells. Peter swerves to avoid a dead deer in the road. Charlie's head strikes a telephone pole at high speed. The impact decapitates her instantly. Peter drives home in complete shock and silence. The next morning, Mother Annie discovers Charlie's headless body still in the backseat. Director Ari Aster created this scene before writing the full script. The realistic death shocked audiences worldwide. An actor, Alex Wolff, later stated he required therapy after filming this traumatic sequence. 2. The bedroom torture scene, Terrifier. 2 released in 2022 with extreme graphic violence. High school student Allie Campbell refuses Art the Clown's demands for Halloween candy. Art the Clown, played by David Howard Thornton, later breaks into her bedroom. What follows is a 3-minute torture sequence. Art scalps Allie, completely removing her hair and skin. He slices through her eye with a blade. He tears off one arm entirely. He splits her other arm lengthwise between the fingers. Art pours bleach directly on her open wounds. He then rubs salt into every cut while she somehow remains alive. Her mother discovers the scene with Allie still breathing. Director Damien Leone filmed this over 2 full weeks. Multiple theater audiences reported fainting and vomiting during screenings. The scene won Dead Meat's Horror Award for Best Kill. In 2022, Leone defended it as horror commentary. 3. The vertical bisection Bone Tomahawk blended Western and horror genres in 2015. Sheriff Franklin Hunt, played by Kurt Russell, leads a rescue mission into cannibal territory. The group encounters savage troglodytes who capture Deputy Nick. Director S. Craig Zoller shows everything in unflinching detail. The cannibals strip Nick completely naked in front of Sheriff Hunt's cage. They scalp him alive with a sharp knife. They stuff the bloody scalp into his mouth to silence screams. The cannibals then flip Nick upside down, spreading his legs apart. Using a primitive bone tomahawk, they hack into his groin area. They split Deputy Nick's entire body in half from crotch to head. Zoller uses long, uncut shots with no music. Only muffled screams and sounds of tearing flesh fill the audio. The scene takes over 1 full minute. Kurt Russell later praised Zoller's commitment to practical effects and realism in horror filmmaking. 4. The Bathtub Castration. I Spit on Your Grave sparked massive controversy in 1978. The film follows writer Jennifer Hills, played by Camille Keaton, who suffers brutal assault from 4 local men at her remote cabin. Jennifer survives and methodically plans her revenge against each attacker. She targets ringleader Johnny by calling and seducing him over the phone. When Johnny arrives at her home, Jennifer acts submissive. She suggests they take a relaxing bath together. In the bathtub, Jennifer touches Johnny intimately while he's vulnerable. At the moment of his climax, she castrates him with a knife. Blood fills the entire bathtub with water turning red. Jennifer calmly exits, leaving Johnny to bleed to death while opera music plays. Critics Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel famously called this the worst film ever made. Multiple countries banned the film completely. The movie spawned sequels and a 2010 remake. 5. The Crucifix Scene. The Exorcist terrified 1973 audiences with groundbreaking horror. 12-year-old Regan McNeil, played by Linda Blair, becomes possessed by demon Pazuzu. Her mother, Chris, played by Ellen Burstyn, hears violent crashes from Regan's bedroom. She rushes upstairs and discovers her daughter violently attacking herself with a crucifix. Regan stabs the religious object between her legs repeatedly. Blood covers her body and nightgown. She screams obscene blasphemies in an inhuman voice. Her face appears grotesquely disfigured by demonic possession. Regan then grabs her mother's head, forcing it downward violently. The scene combines child endangerment, religious desecration, and sexual violence. Director William Friedkin refused studio demands to cut or soften the sequence. Audience members fainted in theaters during this scene. Some people vomited or fled screenings entirely. The Exorcist received an R rating despite protests demanding an X rating. 6. The Tanning Bed Death's Final Destination. 3 released in 2006 with creative death sequences. Best friends, Ashley Freund and Ashlyn Halperin, played by Shalane Simmons and Crystal Lowe, visit a tanning salon. They enter side-by-side tanning beds for relaxation. A series of accidents causes the temperature controls to malfunction. The heat inside both beds rises to dangerous levels. When Ashley and Ashlyn try escaping, a coat rack falls, blocking the beds shut. They are trapped inside as temperatures continue climbing. The tanning bulbs roast them alive at extreme heat. Their skin turns blood red and begins bubbling and blistering from the intense heat. The glass of the tanning beds cracks and shatters from the extreme temperature. Both women scream and pound desperately on the glass. The beds finally ignite, burning them to death. Many people reported never using tanning beds again after watching this scene. The dual death remains iconic in the franchise. 7. The opening kill scream revolutionized horror cinema in 1996. The actress Drew Barrymore plays Casey Becker in the film's opening 12 minutes. Casey is home alone making popcorn when she receives a phone call. The mysterious caller, voiced by Roger L. Jackson, asks about scary movies. The conversation quickly turns threatening and sinister. The caller reveals Casey's boyfriend Steve is tied up on her patio. He forces Casey to answer horror trivia to save Steve's life. Casey incorrectly states Jason is the killer in Friday the 13th when it's actually his mother. The caller immediately disembowels Steve in front of Casey. Ghostface then chases and stabs Casey multiple times on her front lawn. Her parents arrive home just as she dies with the phone in her hand. They discover her gutted body hanging from a tree. Director Wes Craven shot this opening over 5 days. One of the shocking celebrity death established no character is safe. 8. The Log Truck Crash. Final Destination 2 opened in 2003 with a terrifying highway disaster. College student Kimberly Corman, played by A.J. Cook, has a premonition while entering Route 23. She envisions a catastrophic pileup caused by a logging truck. In the premonition, the truck's chains fail, releasing massive logs. A massive log bounces from the truck and crashes through the windshield of a blue SUV, killing the driver instantly. The highway erupts into a massive multi-vehicle pileup with explosions and countless deaths. State Trooper Thomas Burke, played by Michael Landis, survives both the vision and reality by staying on the entrance ramp. Director David R. Ellis used practical effects with real vehicles rather than computer graphics. The sequence was filmed at actual highway locations. Multiple publications called it the greatest car crash scene in cinema history. Real-life logging truck drivers receive questions about this scene constantly. 9. The elevator decapitation. Final Destination 2 featured another brutal death scene. Nora Carpenter, played by Linda Boyd, enters an elevator with Eugene Dix and an old man carrying a box of prosthetic limbs with hooks. Officer Burke calls Nora, warning her about a man with hooks. When Nora drops her phone, a prosthetic hook snags her jacket. Panicking from Burke's warning about the man with hooks, she frantically tries to escape the elevator. The elevator doors close around her neck as she attempts to exit. Her head becomes trapped between the closing doors while her body remains in the hallway. Eugene and the old man try pulling her inward while Clear Rivers and Kat Jennings pull her body outward. The elevator rises with mechanical indifference despite the obstruction. Nora's head is completely severed from her body as the elevator ascends. The practical effects appeared disturbingly realistic, creating lasting fear of elevators. 10. The Pool Drain Death. The Final Destination released in 2009 as the franchise's 4th installment. Character Hunt Wynorski, played by Nick Zano, swims at a country club pool. Hunt dives underwater to retrieve his lucky coin from the pool bottom. He accidentally sits directly on the pool's main drain. The drain suddenly activates at maximum suction power. Hunt becomes stuck, unable to move or call for help. The suction increases to dangerous levels, trapping him underwater. His intestines are violently disemboweled through the drain opening. The organs shoot out through a poolside pump in graphic detail. The death scene references a real 2007 incident where 6-year-old Abigail Taylor suffered similar injuries at Minneapolis Golf Club. Her organs were partially sucked out, requiring transplant surgery. She died 1 year later from complications. The pool drain death became one of the franchise's most disturbing moments. Many viewers reported increased fear of pool drains afterward. 11. The Hacksaw Bisection Terrifier, released in 2016, introducing Art the Clown to mainstream audiences. Character Dawn, played by Catherine Corcoran, encounters Art at a pizza shop. Art later captures Dawn and brings her to an abandoned building. He hangs her upside down by her ankles while she wears black underwear. Art then produces a large hacksaw from his bag. He begins sawing Dawn in half, vertically starting from her groin. The saw cuts slowly upward through her body. Dawn remains conscious, screaming throughout the entire process. Blood pours onto the floor as Art continues sawing through her torso. The camera shows every graphic detail without cutting away. Director Damien Leone filmed Corcoran hanging upside down without safety harness for realism. She stated it was the most physically demanding stunt of her career. Leone drew inspiration from medieval torture methods. The hacksaw scene established Terrifier's reputation for extreme practical gore effects. The film became a cult horror classic. 12. The Piano Wire Decapitation. Hereditary's climax features Mother Annie Graham's disturbing death. Annie, played by Toni Collette, Ara becomes possessed by demon Payman. She chases her son Peter through their family home. Peter escapes into the attic and locks the door. Possessed Annie floats supernaturally outside the attic, banging her head violently against the door. She enters the attic and hovers above terrified Peter. Annie grabs a length of piano wire from the attic. She wraps it around her own throat, making eye contact with Peter. She begins sawing the wire back and forth through her neck. The sound design emphasizes every horrible squelch and tear of flesh. Annie continues sawing until the wire cuts completely through. Her severed head falls to the attic floor with a loud thud. Toni Collette wore a prosthetic neck for the practical effect. The self-decapitation represents the family's complete destruction. Peter becomes the demon's final host. Colette's performance earned widespread critical acclaim.